Alrighty, now let's go for a simulation demo. So on this survey that I did, as you can see, I've started with the initial passive survey. I filtered it to the APs. This one had both existing APs and they wanted new APs, so I filtered the existing APs. The existing 24 gigahertz. Let me go ahead and click on these. This is where the existing 24 gigahertz AP was broadcasting. I filtered a couple of more times, and from the survey that I did, and I added 2 additional ones. So we're going to use this 5 gigahertz model, which is the new ones that I've added, but their existing access point, it was not providing a 5 gigahertz located at this corner over here. So we're going to simulate that 5 gigahertz to match up with the rest of the survey. So one requirement for you to do a simulation is that you have to have existing access points on the display map, and these access points, at least one of them, has to have apply power setting enabled. If it's not enabled, it will not work. So since I do have those, let's go to simulation. Leave this, close this window after refresh unchecked. We do not want to close that window. If that window happens to close, you can easily open up from this second icon here. We'll open right back up. Okay. So you have 2 locations here. You have the top section, which is your existing data, the before simulation, and down here you have your after simulation. So to add an access point, to simulate an access point, simply right click on the bottom half where you want it. Add new AP. The way it's currently configured, access point 1 is at the top left corner, access point 2 is in the center bottom corner, and access point 3 is going to be the one we're adding. So AP03, AP03. MAC address doesn't matter, so I just put a random number. Intel survey, which is the current SSID that we're using for the other 2. We want a 5 gigahertz access point. The media type, we wanted N, not an A channel. It doesn't really matter for this unless you're actually doing some other things, but you can just put anything on a 5 gigahertz, which should be around, you can go to 60, that's fine. Op mode is going to be mixed. Leave these 2 the same. For this simulation, you don't need the 40 megahertz. It has to do with how the signal strength is going to look relative to the other ones, but to match my access points, we want to leave it unchecked. And we're going to give a simulated power of 100 milliwatts. There is an access point. Now, simulating access points can be very difficult sometimes because, as you can see, it should look like this access point, but depending on where you clicked, what kind of signal strengths were there, it shows that these 2 offices are going to get extremely high signal strength, but this hallway and this open area is going to get kind of poor. So this is where you have to play with. I actually don't like that one, so I'm going to remove it. Let me try again clicking on, let me zoom in so you can see this better. You should be able to see that there's discoloration from the signal strength. This is the weaker signal strength. I'm going to try right in the middle of the room where it's a little bit more yellow. Add access point. AP03, AP03, random MAC, Intel survey, 5 gigahertz. In channel 60, power 100, and mixed hyperthreading. Okay, that's not as bad. It still looks really awful, but this one we can change by lowering the simulated power, because it's much greener in most locations, but this center looks really awful because it looks way too strong. So on the simulation window, I'm going to knock it down to 50%. Refresh. Better, but not good enough. Let's down to 20%. Refresh. Better, but I'm still getting that yellow hallway again, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it because it's still not working for me. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to actually put the access point all the way in the hallway, but then I'm going to move it. Add access point, AP3, AP3, Intel survey, 100, mixed. Okay, that looks a lot better, but it's in the wrong location, so I'm going to move it to where it should be. Let me play around with the power. Back to 100. Nope, didn't like that. Let's move it down a little bit. Better. I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to lower this a bit. 50. Oops, make that 50. Very good. It's maybe a little too strong still. Yeah, a little too strong. 30. A little too weak now because these offices are in the yellow, and that's not really how it's supposed to look. So 40. Let's go back to 45. 45 is probably going to be the best I'm going to get out of this simulation. You could spend hours making it perfect, but for the purposes of this demo, that's the tools that you use to add an access point. Now if I zoom out again, you should be able to see that most of them look relatively the same distance from either side on this before you hit yellow, same thing on this one. This one is very round, which gives away that it's a simulated access point. I didn't actually walk the hallways, but for the report purposes, that is a very good indication of what the access point is supposed to look like. Once you're done, go ahead and save that simulation by clicking on this icon. You can call it whatever you like, and then you go back to display. And from here you just go on from as the same. Select the simulated walkthrough. This is simulating 5.0, so there is the 2.4. Looks like I made another mistake there because when I was going fast, I didn't change from 2.0 to 5.0. We should be able to go back to that by going to the previous one that we used as a source of the simulation. Simulation. Right click on that access point. And it's not going to allow me to change the frequency of that access point because right now I put it on a 2.4, so I'm going to have to delete it. Delete. Same spot. Add AP3, AP3, random, Intel survey 5.0, and 100 mixed. That's good. Let's change the power setting on that. Back to 45. Still looks a little strong this time, so let's go down to 40. Oh, of course I'm changing the wrong one. I did notice that one kind of changed, so let's turn that back up to 100. AP3, 45. There you go. That's probably going to be as good as I want. It still looks a little strong, but I still need to get the signal to the offices, so that's going to be the best. Close. Save. Over the same one is fine. Yes, I do want to override. Back to display. Now this one has been reset, so once I click on that, there's my access point. It still looks a little funny, so there's a whole lot of play that you have to do on here. So just the 5.0. Now the signal is there, but the access point is not. So we need to manually add that access point there, just like we did in display. Access point 3, which is going to be one of these guys. Ooh, I know what's going on. So because I did multiple access points, when we came back to display, every single iteration of those access points came with it. So we need to filter out the ones we don't want again. So it's going to be a 5.0, so it's going to be one of these guys. So come up on the 2 GHz because I didn't change the channel. Because 1 through 12, actually 1 through 16, that low range number is a 2.0 GHz. So let's go back one more time. Actually, I need to switch back to 5, simulation, delete this guy, same location, AP3, AP3, random, Intel survey, and 60, 100. The reason I use 100 is because it gives a good enough margin both to go up or down. Let's move this access point just a hair. Refresh. It's good. It's down to 45. This time it looks a little too weak, so let's go down to 55. $75. $90. Let's move you up a little bit because you're not getting where I want it to be. Now that's too much. Let's move you down over here. Try one more time. Not behaving, come on. Sure, I like that one. 90, sure, that's not too bad. I will keep it. Close, save, rename, yes. Display, verify. Okay, it's there now. I know it's going to be the 60 GHz, which is going to be that one. Here's some of the other ones that are still in here. So that's 60 GHz, signal strength 1. Let's filter it out. AP1, AP2. Missing a 2 in here. 3.0, 1 GHz is going to be that one. This is going to be the 5 GHz because we don't need the 2.4 at this point. So this one is a 5 GHz. This is a 5 GHz, and this is my 5 GHz. Saved as 5 sim. Let's go ahead and put the 1 and 2 on the map. This is 2, located right about here. Turn the power on. Confirm. This should be 1, which is currently named AP4. About here. Properties. Power on. I'm going to go ahead and rename it to AP01. Click back on channel so you can see all 3 together. Yeah, that looks a little too strong. Yes, you can play it down a little more, but that is the gist of simulating an access point. At this point, you'd go to reports, run a report, and you'd be done.